Can't remember having milk in it. Oh well. Oh, hi. Totally forgot about the review. Okay. Well, welcome. Let's see the game.
Hello.
I just want to reach out and say thank you so much for my Patreon supporters at patreon.com/talkros for helping me, supporting my project, and just getting better. I love you guys, and I really hope that if you like the show and what I do, you please check out my Patreon account, or just like a thumbs up or thumbs down if you don't like it, of course, but share it with your friends and yeah, spread the word. Thank you. The box is kind of tiny, as you can see. Not the typical Fantasy Flight release, but okay. So, as you see, it's completely full. Now, I have 2 copies of the core game just to be able to play to 4 players and have more deck building options. And I also have the Dunwich Legacy expansion in here. But as you see, it's totally filled up and there's not much room for anything else here. So, not the best solution from FFG so far. Well, typical for FFG, they have 2 rulebooks. One how to play the game and one with all the rules in it. Now, learn to play, it will learn you how to play the game, and it's very simple. It's nicely laid out with graphics and all, or illustrations I mean. But you find yourself looking at this a lot in the first games, because there's a lot of stuff that is not mentioned here in Learn to Play. So you get the motion of the game here, but there's so many times you have to look here. What happens now? What does this do? What does this mean? Do I have to look this up? Is it a thing I have to see? Maybe it's too basic this time, but okay, it works. Arkham Horror the card game is a living card game, and in this game you will, before you play the game, you will build a deck of cards, and you choose completely by yourself, but of course there are certain criteria. And this deck will help you through the scenarios, which will together make a campaign. And the campaign in the core game is called Night of the Zealot. Now, the interesting part here is when you open the instructions and it says setup and it says stop, do not read this. Well, of course, if you don't read it, you won't know what's going to happen based on your choices. And the first time you play this campaign, you should not read it because this is a story-driven game. There's a lot of mechanics as well, but the story is also the focus. So if you don't know what's going to happen based on your choices, it really adds to the immersion of the game. So the campaign here has 3 different scenarios, only 3. But what happens in the first scenario affects the second and the third scenario. So you kind of have a branching thing going on here. And yeah, just do your best, and you don't know what's going to happen. But then again, later, if you already know the story and the scenarios, then you know what's best, and then you can start to win the game. And don't think you're gonna win the game the first time, because it's kind of hard. But okay, let's just find out how the game actually works. To set up a scenario, you just look here and find all of these cards matching these icons. So, of course, you have them separated or grouped in your box for easy reference, but it's easy to find. Each scenario has its own kind of starter pack. So this is the main ingredient of the scenario, and they add further enemies that has certain abilities based on the scenario. It's very interesting, and it works very nice. And it's just like in Lord of the Rings, the card game. This is a setup. So we have 2 players here. We have, what's it called? Agnes and Roland. And this is her deck, and this is his deck, and their hands. Now, these characters are represented by these small mini cards here. So these are now at the study location. But before we start there, we have to read this story. So some of the story is in the campaign book, and we have some story here on the agenda, and then some story here on the act. Now, the agenda works as a timer. The more time we use, the further the agenda will be pushed. So we don't want this agenda to necessarily go further. We want the act to go further. So when we go here to study, we will reveal it. And it's kind of interesting because sometimes you have several copies of the same room. So on this side it's identical, and you shuffle it and choose one, and so you don't really know what you're going to come to. But here are some numbers which represent some clue tokens, and we want to get clues to what's going on here, and we want to spend those clues to further the act here. And well, so that's the setup. So how do you play it? When you reveal a location, you see here, it's a shroud. It's the difficulty of investigation on this area. Here you say it's 2 clue tokens here per investigator, and we have 2 investigators in this game, so that makes 4 clue tokens. Now, in order to progress this scenario, this event here, we need 4 clue tokens, because it says here 2 per investigator, so it's exactly the same amount. Oh wow. So I'm just gonna ignore the story now, because you can get that yourself later. But from now, Roland wants to investigate here. So we can check his hand of cards. What does he have on his hand? Well, you have this. So there are several types of cards you can do. We have assets, events, and skill among these cards here. So skill cards are just used when you're doing a test, like investigating. Event cards, well, they're just one-offs. You use them and they're just discarded. And you have assets, which stay in front of you for the rest of the game, well, until something else removes it from you. But you see here is a hand. So you have 2 hands, well, normally, and this occupies one of them. So these are the cards you can play now. And you notice all of these cards have some icons here. So these can contribute to any skill test. So let's just jump right to it. We're going to investigate this area. To investigate, you need to roll a die. 3. So I get to flip 3 of these, and I have to find 2 identical or a tree. Yes, I found a tree. So I got 3. I can take out 1 and 2 and 3. That means I can move 3 steps to investigate. 1, 2, 3. What? What's this? Huh? Each turn you'll get 3 actions, and they're all listed here on this nice card, and the backside says how the round is going to play out. So he has his cards. What can he play? Well, he can play a medical text to make a test, and you can heal someone. Maybe or maybe not. You can also damage them by doing something bad. And you have this one, Book of Lore, and you have Guts, and well, you have certain things here. But he doesn't really have anything to help him investigate. So he can just do an investigation. So and we see here he has 3 investigation power. So he has 3 to beat 2. Sounds simple, right? Well, not only that. To take a test, you have to draw from this bag. So first you play all your resources or assets and stuff and help. Then you draw a token from this bag. And this will indicate how well you do. So like say, this one. This we have to reference the scenario card. And in this case, it's a -4. Oh man. Oh, it's hard. The gathering. It was hard. Let's go for easy. -2, much more easier. If there's a goal enemy, take 1 damage. There is none. But he got -2. So he's 3. His 3 minus 2 is not equal or higher than 2. So he failed. Nothing more happens. Okay, so that was bad. Put the token back in the bag. So he's gonna do it again, use 1 more action, and he's going to discard this card here because he gains 2 more icons here. So now he has 5 versus 2. So let's pull from the bag again. A skull. Oh, another symbol. Skull. -X is the number of goal enemies, so 0. So he beat it. So he got a clue token. And depending on the characters, he might even get 2 clue tokens or something else. Each character has a special power that will gain you something. Like here, if you defeat an enemy, you discover a clue at your location. So if he beats someone here, he also finds a clue at the same time. So these effects are very handy. But that's just how you do a skill test for everything, actually. At the end of the turn, all the monsters that are here will attack. And of course there are no monsters here now, but they will soon come, I guess. At the beginning of each round, we will add a Doom token here on the agenda. If the Doom tokens on the entire board here, playing area, matches or exceeds the number here, we proceed on the agenda. We don't want that. It's a bad timer. If we have managed to get 4 clue tokens, because 2 per investigator, then we can proceed. So there was one problem though now, is Roland Banks, he drew his weakness card. Each character has a special card that they can have in the deck, but also a weakness card. And the weakness card is kind of thematic, and they have to do this stuff because they have some personal issues. So in this case, he has a cover-up. So instead of taking clue tokens from the location, he just removes from this here instead. And nothing happens. Unless he gets the last clue token ahead, then finally he can get rid of this, but only for this scenario. And it's really bad, because we waste a lot of time on it. But we progress. So we spend 4 clue tokens, because 2 per investigator, and we flip it over and read on. And this will have new instructions, a new story, and what will happen, depending on choices also maybe. Then we go here and read this one and see we have a new objective. But first we have to take out this room here and place new rooms here. So let's do that. Presto, we have new locations on the board. So, we're now here at the hallway and the study is gone. And we have some new locations here. Okay, let's see here. On the bottom of this hallway, we have some icons. And on top here, an icon as well. And this will refer to adjacency. So this hallway is connected to all the cards with this icon on the top left corner here. Like so. So it's connected to all these places, but these are only connected to these icons, so back to the hallway. So you can't go from the cellar to the parlor directly, you have to go through the hallway and then onwards. But it could be that you go to the cellar and you flip it over, that it has new icons or fewer icons even. But right now the parlor says you can't go there, but maybe we can find clues in the cellar or the attic. So let's find out. Oh no! Monster appears! Yeah, this ghoul here just appeared now and is trying to defeat us, and it's not so great. And you can see here he has a lot of stats on top. This is what test you need to beat him using strength. This is how much health he has per investigator, and this is the skill test you need to take to evade it. Normally these will go after an investigator and stay in a play area. You have two actions to do now: fight or evade. If you do something else, he will automatically attack you. So you lose 2 health and 2 mental health. And as you can see on the character sheet here, he can take 9 physical health and 5 mental. If he gets that many damage in either type, he's out of the game, and he will gain a trauma for the second scenario using this character, but he's out anyway, so you don't want that to happen, of course. But maybe we can find some help in the attic or the cellar. Then she has to do her 2 other actions before Roland here can do. But let's say she was finished. So Roland here moves down to the attic. Now let's see here. Oh, so it was kind of creepy on the attic, so he gets 1 horror. Not so good either. Both of these locations here provide clue tokens which will help us to proceed here, but right now there is no number here, so we have a different objective. We need to defeat the ghoul priest. So, he couldn't move there anyway because he had a monster attached to him. So this monster is chasing Roland. If he moved down there, the monster will gain attack, as I said, so he should face the monster instead. So, facing the monster is either evading him and he becomes exhausted, then you can escape from him, or attacking him. And he has 10 health at the moment. That's quite a lot. You do 1 damage normally per attack. So you have to face this enemy or evade him and then go away. Because if he moves, the monster will attack, then follow anyway. So not so good situation. The monster's really intense, makes it intense, but it also adds to the experience and makes the game great. This game is just awesome. I really love this game. So I really invested a lot in this game, and didn't I take away the mat? Anyway, it provides a lot of things, but before I'm going to praise this game, I'm going to do some rant about it as well. The box at first is very small, so you can't really do anything sorting in there. Like you could in the Lord of the Rings, you could have the cards vertically and you can have dividers. You can't in this small box here. And if you have 2 copies to play with more than 2 players, it's also a snug fit. And that's the thing as well. It feels like they could have added more content in the box. The only thing the problem is you can't play more than 2 players. And the only thing that prevents it from being so is because they didn't add like 20 cards more. And you could easily have played with 4 players with the core game. So I really don't like that. But also, if you want to play this game, you will have to invest in it. Buying the core game alone isn't going to feel like a full worthy game because there's more. Like the expansion I bought, the deluxe expansion, it has the same box size almost, it's a bit smaller, but it provides a campaign and it promises 6 more scenarios for the campaign. So you don't even get a campaign in that box, you get 2 scenarios of a full-fledged campaign. So you have to buy each scenario for 1 campaign separately, and it's going to, I can't say I approve of the method they're doing it, but of course I'm going to buy it because I love the game, and they know it, but I don't like it. I wish they could have had 1 big experience in the box, and it's kind of pricey as well for what you get, I think. But But anyway, the artwork is great, the game is great, I love the game and everything in it, it's amazing, but yeah, you should invest something. So, the game provides also a lot of luck. Well, it doesn't provide luck, it's based on luck. You have the encounter deck here with random monsters and events that will happen, bad stuff. You have to draw from your deck, and you can get bad stuff there as well, like your weakness, and you can get stuff you don't want. And you draw tokens on the bag, which also adds to the randomness. So there's tons of randomness in the game, but the storytelling and the randomness and everything, it fits snugly together to make a nice storytelling game, and of course it will last long. It is typical Fantasy Flight games that a game with 4 players and a scenario could easily last 3 hours. But for me, I think the 3 hours just go fast because you're always engaged in the game. You can choose the order of the players every round, so you don't have to sit and wait for your turn. You can just jump in when you need it. And even though you have more investigators, it won't get more easy because you still have to waste time you have to use time to get these clue tokens, and they get more of these cards per player as well. So you get more and more bad stuff hidden against you to prevent you from going further. But at the same time, you have a more diverse group with different kind of skills, so you have more options that way. But still, it's really, really tight in this game. It's really hard, but I love it, everything about it. Well, okay, thank you for watching, and I can't remember putting it back, but I hope I see you again in the next episode. So until then, see ya.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.